I mean, what's in
space.
real environment? What
Oh,
are you
it's
seeing?
it's a theater.
It's a theater.
Yes.
Is it full of people?
I wish it. We're going to have probably 15, 20 people here tonight.
Uh-huh.
It's a cafe, quite a famous cafe, the New York.
It's a well-known performance in Alphabet City, the Lower East Side of Manhattan. This is a historical site where a lot of Latin American, Hispanic, Puerto Rican playwrights and poets, and now a lot of performance artists. It's been a space where historical productions have been made, and we have a fairly long relationship working in this space. So it's exciting for us to be able to do this here. And they're very generous in allowing us to do so.
It's kind of if you think of the coffee houses in New York City in Greenwich Village, it's near there. And it's, I don't live in New York anymore, but it's kind of not sacred-y, but it's an avant-garde.
Mhm.
It's a very bohemian space.
Yeah.
Bohemian.
Bohemian.
Yeah.
The right
Bohemian,
word.
there's a word
Yes.
that
Which
we
is
appropriated.
a very apropos term, and it's where it's a real epicenter for artistic expression and thought and
And experimentation.
experimentation. So they're very happy to be hosting us for this.
You would feel very comfortable in this space, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, we're in this, our faces are in this space, but
Okay, we're almost ready. Just one, we'll give it 1 minute and then we shall begin.
merde.
Toi toi.
Toi, toi.
Chris, take it easy. But if you want to, because you're gonna have, you can watch me or the screen. Yeah. You ready? Okay. Jess, you ready? Okay. Count me in. Give me a 3. Three, two, one. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joseph Rodriguez, the producing artistic director of Playhouse Creatures Theater Company, and I want to welcome everyone here live from the New Eurekan Poets Cafe. Thank you. We are attempting to use the technology at hand to connect Kyiv, Canada, and New York City simultaneously. We'll do our best. We have a crack technological team, Artur, and the amazing Jessica in the booth. Let's give them a big hand. And this is the third night of our Voices of a Resistance Festival. This closing night will commence with the reading of Victor Ruban's emails, a series of emails between him and a colleague in Paris, Mathilde. It'll be performed by myself and the wonderful Erica Abbott-Stevens, coming to us live from Windsor, Canada. Let's give her a big hand. And then we'll follow up with this incredible panel of artists, policymakers, theater makers, some live here, myself, Amy Todorov, who's in the house. And then in the Ukraine, we have Victor Ruban, Olesya and Olena. I will defer to you to pronounce your names because I'm terrible. And I am just excited to have you all here. And without further ado, letters to Mathilde.
Letters to Mathilde. 25th February 2022, from Mathilde Monnier. Dear Victor, it is Mathilde. I would like to send you all my courage for this very difficult moment for your country. If we can do something for you, please tell me. We can help. Don't hesitate. If something is possible, we can try to help. I would like to have news from you. I send you my love, Mathilde.
25 February, Victor Ruban. Dear Mathilde, thank you enormously. It's very important to feel your support. I am in Kyiv. Hard to express the insanity of what is happening. Both days I am writing updates about the situation with different requests for support. The way and tempo of the EU and NATO are processing the situation, their political games behind the scenes, they cost us so many lives and damage that it's hard to measure so far. Today is a crucial day. We managed to fight back and hold most of the positions today in 15 or 16 regions of Ukraine. Yesterday it was in 9. But Russia, at this exact moment, approached Kyiv from 3 different directions, waiting for the Russian air forces and rockets to help them. For Russia, tonight is a critical chance to hit. We hold. Of course, we're not delusional to think it's the last day of this crazy war. But finally, we have more help, not only sanctions. I don't know if demonstrations helped or if the petitions helped. I don't know exactly what did it, but it seems to be working and it gives us hope. At least we were heard. It's a crazy experience. Emotions are more intense than on the roller coaster. Reality feels surreal. We are unaware. We are aware that this war from Putin is just a genocide mission against Ukrainians. He expressed that in his statement before the first bombing yesterday, calling it Special Operation for Denazification. And that has nothing to do with reality. Our intelligence got the document which lists the intellectuals, public figures, and politicians to be killed first. It sounds like science fiction, but it's very real. All people who don't have pro-Russian positions are in danger of extinction. Please, don't let this genocide happen. Stay with us. We need all of Europe to be with us in this crazy moment in history. If you want to track the situation in real time, live news in English with most of us updates are here. Tonight, I don't know how things will go. We expect more massive bombings to make people panic. We don't, and we won't. We need to survive this, and we will. I'll write more updates in the morning. Thank you again for your support. It's so very precious. I hope to see you soon after this all ends in Montpellier, Paris, or in peaceful Kyiv, to hug, to drink some delicious herbal tea and tell you about this crazy but incredible experience, to ask about your inspirations, to interview you for my PhD. I didn't have a chance to write you yet about that, but it's on my list, and many other, but only nice things. Big warm hug and lots of love from Kyiv. Victor.
February 26th, 2022. Dear Victor, there's a journalist who wants to publish your letters and she would like to be in touch with you. I don't know if you received my second letter email. I hope you are safe. Tell us what we can do to help. Love, MM.
27 February. Dear Mathilde, I'm in 24/7 communication. The situation is still critical. So if I don't respond, it's only because I didn't see the message yet. The fastest way to communicate is Telegram. It has the safest security protocols. Please share my words. Keep me in touch. We had a massive bombing tonight. Some of them are causing techno-ecological catastrophes. Oil depot was bombed and now will be burning for at least 2 days. Yesterday, one rocket almost got into the Kyiv Sea water dam. This could flush away a massive part of the left bank of Kyiv, with over 1 million peaceful inhabitants, threatening the Dnipro to the south of Kyiv. The wave of water could reach and even cause the explosion of Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. But we were able to shoot down this rocket, but they kept on bombing us anyway. We hold the ground, but NATO still doesn't dare to close the sky over Ukraine. We've started a petition about that. Please don't hesitate to tell the world, to share hashtags. We hold on, we will keep on, and we need you. We need you all to be with us, but any moment is lost, and it's crucial. Me, my family, and friends are alive. I am in Kyiv, my family too. We hold and we will. Lots of love from Kyiv. Victor.
February 27th, 2022. Dear Victor, thanks a lot for the news. I understand that it's not easy for you to write. You must be really busy and preoccupied. We will share your words and I will send you the article. And if you need to keep us posted, don't hesitate. We will publish your letters. It's so important to have news from an artist in Kiev. I hope your family is okay and safe. Can we help? Does your family need something? I hope you can stay in your house. I know Ukrainian people are strong and you are too. Lots of love, Mathilde.
27 February. Thank you, Mathilde. Family at this moment is in bomb shelter. I bunkered myself in my apartment. The shelter is too far to get to. To stay bunkered in my apartment and defend it's a bit safer. Please don't take this personally, but it is very important. K-I-E-V is a Russian spelling. In Ukrainian, it is K-Y-I-V. It's a nuance, but a very sensitive one, especially in our situation. Putin today made a note for activating a special regime for the intercontinental use of weapons. We expect a nuclear weapon threat. Can you believe it? This insanity? Thank you for your help, for staying in touch. It means the world to us. A big warm hug and much love from Kyiv. Victor.
February 27th, 2022. Dear Victor, no problem for writing Kyiv. More beautiful. I'm so sorry about the situation of your family. We Europeans also feel guilty not to understand that the situation was so dangerous for Ukraine. Let's keep in touch if we can help. I hope you have everything in your bunker home. Please keep me informed. I send you my courage and love.
March 1. Dear Mathilde, I am sorry for yesterday's silence. The day was incredibly tough, emotionally. Russia started massive bombing of houses directly with rockets and artillery, even during the peace negotiations. They took place yesterday in the territory of Belarus. My friends in different cities in reachable distance, but were lucky enough to survive. Several hospitals were bombed directly, even as it is forbidden by international law. They survived because they were in bomb shelters, in these hospitals were pregnant women and children. The Russian military forces were using fake evacuation to use civilians as shields to enter Kyiv, to use them as points of strategy in other cities as well. One of my colleagues from Lviv, an incredible actress, got locked in the basement with her family in Gostomel, 30 kilometers from Kyiv. This city has an airfield, and since the first day is one of the epicenters of fights as a strategic point. Yesterday, Russian troops destroyed the power grid, and Anastasia and her parents don't have electricity anymore. Yesterday, she had a battery, so we know they are alive today. But today, there is no news. It's nerve-wracking. The Russian troops are blocking the way in different parts of Ukraine, not letting even humanitarian aid get to the occupied spots, providing food and first aid to civilians. And the Belarus military forces joined Russia in this bloody campaign now officially. But more horrifying is the fact that Putin, before yesterday, made an official command to activate the deterrent forces to an intensified regime of alteration in preparation for a move to threaten with nuclear weapons. So it's not a joke or a delusion, but real. Russia, together with Belarus, is losing this campaign completely. The red button is their only card left. Their only way of blackmailing the EU, the USA, and other countries that manifest solidarity with Ukraine, its sovereignty, and our will for freedom. So I sincerely don't know how it will go. I don't know when I will be able to write. I want to address two important things, though, before I do. First, I want to explain the historical context of this bloody campaign, this war. I did it in comments to the article of Misha Fedotenko, but found it very important to let people know for their better understanding of what is really happening in Ukraine and the main construct of Russian propaganda that is at the root of this war. Ukraine was colonized by a Muscovy Tsarat that further became the Russian Empire, partly or in full territory since the 17th century until 1917. From then, 1921 till 1991, in the form of the USSR, where Ukrainians and Ukrainian culture suffered waves of genocide and repression in different forms. Since 1991, Ukraine was still quite controlled economically, culturally, and militarily in different ways. Ukraine is enormously different from Russia in traditions, habits, folklore, beliefs, etc. We have a huge gap historically, mentally, culturally. But these waves of genocide, Soviet propaganda, and mixing nations was a plan from Moscow to blend this gap between our cultures by cultivating Homo Sovieticus. As I wrote first about Putin, he said in his statement that there were special terroristic operations for denazification and ending the oppressive regime threatening Russian safety. This is patently absurd. Putin started this war, not only against the sovereignty of Ukraine as a country, because it actually started earlier with the Crimean annexation in 2014. But now anyone with a pro-Ukrainian position and Ukrainian mentality is at risk. In Putin's words, Ukraine is a threat and should be under repression of extinction, which is genocide. Military crimes and crimes against humanity finally are evident to the whole world. But they have been evident to the Ukrainian people, at least from 2014. The root for this call for extinction is because the whole claim of Russian identity is a case of an enormous act of cultural appropriation. Even the name Russia is referring to Kiev Rus. There never was Moscow Rus, and Kiev Rus was never capital of Russian Empire or of Russia, and it never will be. We don't need it. Historically, Russian Empire became an empire starting with the occupation of Ukraine. Ukraine was a second name of the main part of Kiev Rus, and it appeared already in the chronicles of the 11th and 12th century, but not in the beginning of the 20th century as Russian propaganda states. What I am saying is that since its origin, Russian Empire has been driven to subsume Ukraine. And as much as we move toward independence and sovereignty, it endangers that idea, that appropriation that Russia furthers. Russia without Ukraine is just a big territory with natural resources, but never an empire. The empire, the idea of empire, is just propaganda. That's why these waves of genocide took place right after the attempt of the independent state of Ukraine, 1917 to 1921. Massive extinction of Ukrainian intellectuals in late 1930s, together with Holodomor. We already had enough from Russia. That's why people go under tanks today without any weapons. We do remember what happens if we give up. How many more of us will simply be destroyed because of the imperialist mindset of the Russian people? This mindset is a base for propaganda and brainwashing that justifies the terror that is going on right now in Ukraine. The second point is crucial and is mostly addressed to the Russian people. I hope you can address at least that second point as widely as possible to cultural institutions and networks in Russia. Otherwise, the situation will cost millions of lives in Russia and beyond. Countries that hold nuclear weapons exist under the rule of common destruction, a convention that if any country uses a nuclear weapon, that country will receive an equal nuclear hit. People in Russia don't know what we are fighting for in Ukraine. They don't know the gravity of the situation. They are unaware of this. France is helping and will do more. Oh, Mathilde, I am worried about you and your family and your country. I don't want you to leave now. But we believe that Putin will push the red button. Neither do they believe that we have a Ukrainian mass bombing of civilians, which is evident to the whole world. As I am writing to you, we got the ballistic rocket hit in the TV tower in the historical part of Kyiv. 4 people were killed. We are warned that it's possible that telephone communication and the internet can get attacked and put down. So if I won't appear online tomorrow, it doesn't necessarily mean I didn't survive. I can just be offline while we deal with the situation. I hope so. For the people in Russia, today you experience a feeling of shame, compassion, horror, or pride. You also may feel disturbed about the sanctions, how they're affecting you, realizing the fact that Russian money and economy is almost destroyed. We understand that this is a scary thing, that it's hard to live in Russia now because of this. To protest is difficult. To stand up, to demand change, it's difficult. It's scary to be beaten, to be taken to jail. But I assure you, you don't want to know and experience the sound of rockets flying over you at night, knowing these are the last minutes of your life or the lives of the ones you love. So if you stay silent tomorrow and today, tomorrow may never come. You have your audiences. You are linked to people in power. You have a huge range of means to push the situation, each of you. Today, your silence is not just a crime of complicity, but a death sentence to your own people and ours. Please do something. Each minute is crucial. This may all sound exaggerated, but I don't want to take chances. I am in Kyiv with my family. We are still alive. We hold. Stay with us. We need you. Thank you for holding together. Lots of love and big warm hug, Victor.
March 2nd, 2022. Dear Victor, thanks a lot for your report. It's great to read this from you, and I have to say again, this report is very strong, and it's necessary for us to really understand this historical situation. We know that Ukraine is fighting. We know the gravity of the situation. France is helping, we will do more. But I'm very worried about you. Don't you want to leave now? We can welcome you, your family. We can welcome you in France. I can welcome you. I know it must be really complicated to leave your town today, but maybe in a couple of days. Let's see. On the other hand, I understand you don't want to leave your town. I send you my love. MM.
5 March. Dear Mathilde, it's been insane. 4 days of terror, constant bombings and artillery all over Ukraine, on residential areas, communication centers, and hospitals. The Russians are using avia bombs that are breaking down whole segments of neighborhoods, of buildings, killing people, killing children. This damage is hard to survive, even in a bomb shelter. Survival is a matter of chance, of luck. That's why we all call on NATO to close the sky over Ukraine to please save more lives. More terror brings more challenges and things to do. A lot of communication, coordination. Everyone here, every one of us is doing anything he or she can to do to help in the situation and help the people in need. Regarding danger and decision to stay, it was evident my first day. My parents were crystal clear about staying. For me, it was evident to stay as well. How can I leave my friends, my colleagues, my space, my work, the places that I love when I can still do something to protect it? I can't imagine living these days somewhere else, just observing from the outside. If you knew at any moment France as a state could disappear from the world map like that, all together with your friends and family, I'm sure you would do everything possible not to let that happen. Of course, it's frightening to stay, but it would have been more horrible to leave. I am so grateful for your help. I hope there will be a time to come visit you, to come work on a new dance piece, or bring some recent work, or even just having a chance to meet again. Sincerely, I would be happy. It's been 9 years already since the last time we saw each other. After this madness, it's so strange to say, but the people you love and feel connected with, those who are not right next to you, or it's the same with everyone randomly who wrote asking, how are you? At this moment, even a real hug with each would be such a luxury. So instead, I will send you a big virtual hug. We hold. Please keep holding with us. Victor.
À toi, Victor.
Dear Mathilde, we are alive. To balance the messages from before, I just wanted to share with you the humor of people here. I don't know if it's true or false, but absolutely possible. The news from Twitter, we have plenty of super funny real stories already. It said, in Kyiv, a woman knocked down a Russian drone from a balcony with a jar of cucumbers. And I ask, if we can do that, how do they expect to occupy this country? And the humor helps anyway. We cry and we laugh, we hold, we are alive. I send a big warm hug from Kyiv. Victor.
7th March, 2022. Dear Victor, thanks a lot for letting me know that you're laughing and alive. Today, I spoke with different cultural managers and theater directors in Europe. They're having a meeting now. They want to try to help artists in Ukraine. I will know more about it soon. And as soon as it is possible, we do want to help and help as much as we can. everybody here is aware that this war is insane. We're trying to find out how we can help, even though we're not fighters, but art and culture are also weapons. So we may ask you some questions about the artistic community in Kyiv. For example, are you in touch with other artists there? We want to alert more people and change the opinion here. We feel guilty not to be able to help more, but we can take some action. I will let you know about it. I send you my love and more. Mathilde.
9 March. Dear Mathilde, we are alive. I was silent because my family couldn't get in touch with my brother and his family. But finally, we know they are okay. It is already the 14th day, and each day brings more and more horrible news from different places in Ukraine. Russia blocks several cities, not letting humanitarian corridors for evacuating people or to bring food. In some of them, I have dear friends, and it's horrifying. But there is even worse news. Today in Mariupol city, that has 400,000 inhabitants, because of Russian blockades from hunger and dehydration, today 1,300 people died in a single day, including newborn babies. Russia agreed to give passage corridors, and each time people enter them, Russia bombs them. People in the city are collecting rainwater to survive. European officials are still trying to appeal to Russia through diplomacy. Whatever. I don't understand. I feel anger. I feel almost hate over the naivete of the current political establishment, especially the UN and NATO. One bit of news that hopefully won't happen, but is a direct threat to the rest of Europe. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant today lost operational electricity. That means all equipment used for cooling nuclear fuel doesn't work, and it cannot be properly cooled. This could cause an explosion, or at least a nuclear cloudburst from Chernobyl, and escape to the atmosphere. This is intentionally produced ecocide, but talks and procedures are never ending. Diplomacy is tried, but to no avail. Sincerely, we pray, we fight, we do whatever possible, but our resources are limited, and Russia does everything forbidden just to blackmail and terrorize, causing enormous damages, not only to Ukraine, but to the rest of the world. Until Europe and each European citizen will understand that Russia is a threat to the whole world, not only Ukraine. Until EU governments will realize that diplomacy won't work with the bandits, the terrorists, and this Russian dictatorship regime. These threats and more, new threats will come and come and come. The faster we stop this monster, the less will be lost. I need to say something, and I'm sorry if it sounds bitter. Images, videos, words, evidence of crimes, stories of real people make politicians cry or say they are sorry. But it doesn't make them brave in their actions and decisions. Providing help is very important. We feel that and appreciate it. But slapping back at Russia harder would make the situation less damaging. Don't get me wrong, I don't call for any country to get into the war, but rather to act in a more aggressive, supportive manner. Cultural definitely could be a weapon to reach people, change their hearts and minds. Politicians today only hear their electorate. They're only concerned about their votes. That's why we need more and more people on the streets to join our calls from Ukraine to make your politicians move faster. And Ukrainian artists, regarding Ukrainian artists, yes, we are pretty well connected and coordinated. Performing artists, visual artists, digital artists, musicians, actors, dancers. Mostly we connect through Telegram and Facebook. We spread information for residencies and support in the EU to those who need it, to leave, to survive. We coordinate activities for all possible activities, for volunteering to use each one's artistic media to help make things better, to spread the real information throughout their artistic networks. We have a massive initiative demanding a ban of Russian artists and cultural institutions from artistic and cultural activities worldwide for their responsibility, for their staying silent, for their support of authoritarian regime, and for promoting Russian propagandist perverted information even today. There are some initiatives in different countries that make evenings and screenings or concerts or special events for gathering funds for humanitarian aid, and our volunteers are needed. And we thank these different communities. If you have ideas for a screening or giving us a bridge to speak in real time about what's happening here, please tell me. I can prepare lists of works from theater field or dance or movies that could be screened, and a contact list with people from here who you can connect with online to answer questions, to tell some words, and to thank you for your support. To end on a positive note, I want to tell you that even if we feel hopeless sometimes about politics, at the same time, we feel an enormous amount of solidarity, support, help, encouragement, love. It's truly incredible and so important. It gives me so much strength you cannot imagine. I receive hundreds of messages from all over the world with the words of care and love. Everybody is asking how to help and express their support. Even people that I don't know, they write, please hold on and take care. We are with you. It's such a strong experience, and sincerely, it means the world. I thank you for reaching out, for supporting. Much, much love and a big hug from Kyiv. Victor.
March 11th, 2022. Dear Victor, your idea of an artistic platform is really good. As soon as you are ready and you have a bank account number, I will spread it to different people and cultural organizations so that we can help to support artists. Please let us know ASAP. I hope your brother is fine. We're trying to follow the situation from France, and I understand your position being angry. Europe is afraid of Putin. It's a terrible situation for your country. We need to be more active to help. There are a lot of initiatives here in France. Tell me when you have an account. Let's keep in touch. We're here to support. We don't forget you. We don't forget your country. Keep safe and take care and pay attention. Best, MM. March 16th, 2022. Victor, thanks a lot for this great deal of work and making this platform. It's such important work. It would be great if you could make a list of names of artists who could benefit. I know that's a lot of work, but at least some names can help to identify the need and the type of activities people are doing. Do you know Olga Dukhonoya, Ukrainian female dancer? She's in France and trying to help artists who are still in the Ukraine, and she's also created a platform. Do you need her address? I sent your platform to a lot of organizations and to people in art. Tomorrow there's a meeting and they're discussing how they can help, and I will let you know ASAP. Let's keep in touch. Oh, I will also give you an email address from a person named Tomas who's trying to help artists. He's part of a big organization and they centralize the information. I'll have him on the phone today and really try to understand what he's doing, and we'll tell you more. I send you my love. MM.
16 March. Dear Mathilde, thank you and to everyone for your efforts. I understand how many things are on your plate. I really admire and do appreciate the way you find ways to gather, coordinate, and discuss the options. Please send everyone my gratitude and respect for what you do. Regarding Olga, yes, we know each other. We chatted recently. I didn't know about this initiative of hers. It's for the artists who are fleeing the war. More and more students and young dancers are still trying to find a place in Europe where to stay. So it's great she's doing this. I will add that platform on our page and spread this to other places as well. Definitely, I will send her platform out too. Thank you for sharing. Now, I am preparing a letter to our partners and colleagues in other countries with a call for support and with a proposal to organize screening events for solidarity with Ukraine in their cities. Tomorrow, I will do the same publication on our social media. Today was a day with a lot of great and tough news. One piece of great news was that we finally received a guarantee that we'll be getting air defense systems. Hopefully they'll soon arrive. Today, one of the bombs was dropped on the people trying to get bread in Chernihiv, 2 blocks away from the place where my mother of my closest friend lives. 10 people were killed in the blink of an eye in the middle of the city. My friend's mother was out of the damage range, so she is okay. In Mariupol city that has been blockaded since the first day of the war, hundreds of people were hiding in the municipal drama theater. Today, during the massive bombing, they directly hit this theater. And that's what's left from it. Until now, we don't know if anyone survived. That's the price for taking time with diplomatic procedures, diplomatic games, and hesitation. But we feel happy to get those systems even later because it will help us save at least a few more lives. Each time I write you a letter, each time I read it and feel like it is probably surreal for you to read these lines. And each time I write, I get more and more the sense that this is not happening, that this is surreal. I wish it were surreal. I wish it weren't happening. I hope we will end this madness soon and we will win. Thank you for your help and involvement. I do see and acknowledge how much you do. Thank you. Lots of love and a big hug from Kyiv. Victor.
March 23rd. Dear Victor, hope you're still okay and safe. How are you physically and how are you mentally? I know you've been in touch with some people like Thomas from Centre Chorégraphique ACCN and Charleroi Dance and Montpellier Dance. I think you saw that Montpellier Dance have sent a call for money and help to a lot of organizations in France and through Europe. It seems that it's not easy to send money, but now we know the reason. We have to call the bank for special authorization for Ukraine. It takes 2 to 3 days. That is something I hope you can communicate to organizations. Théâtre Chaillot in Paris will soon organize on the 14th of April a special evening for supporting Ukraine. I will talk with the director soon about it. Dear Victor, we might ask you for a video. Let us know what you think about that. Loco, the website from Valérie, it's also helping a lot. I send you my love. After this war, we want to welcome you again in Montpellier. Love, best, Mathilde.
24 March. Dear Mathilde, I'm in Kyiv. Hard to stay safe, but in another place that is closer to the center of Kyiv, in my apartment that is next to my studio. This area is safer than the previous place of stay, but the escalation continues today. These days we were evacuating. My friend, theater maker Andriy May, was escaping Kherson with his mother, who needs special medication treatment, and with his son. He safely arrived in Cologne yesterday. It was nerve-wracking because there is no green corridor from Kherson that is currently occupied, so they escaped miraculously. Yesterday, when he arrived in Cologne, the director of his theater, Alexander Gnoga, was taken as a hostage by the Russian military occupants and convoyed right from the theater. Only public waves from Ukrainian and other countries helped to release him today already. It's insane. We are happy that we managed to evacuate Andriy. The mother of my closest friend as well escaped safely from Chernihiv, arrived the day before yesterday, just the day before the last bridge at Chernihiv was destroyed. Yesterday and today, heavy bombing in Chernihiv almost destroyed the whole Bobrovista microregion, 15 minutes away by walk from their house. We feel happy that we have managed to bring her here to Kyiv. Emotionally and mentally, it's quite hard to hold on. But when I think of the people of Mariupol, Chernihiv, Kharkiv, Sumy, and many others, I really have nothing to complain about. Chernihiv and Mariupol have had neither electricity nor heating, nor even drinkable water for the last 2 to 3 weeks. I have enough food. I have enough water. I am staying in a warm place. Bombings, explosions, artillery, and city fights are distant. Only yesterday it was shooting 1 block away from my apartment, but that's not often. So I am happy that I have the possibility to do whatever I can from at least relatively safe conditions. Thank you for putting me into connection with Montpellier Dance. They did really great, sharp, and pointed email. We are in touch with the Mewen, and when I can, I definitely will make a video for the event. Thank you for making it happen. During these days with artists from visual art, with cultural policymakers and other people, we work already for 2 weeks on combating a strange trend that is happening all over the places of Europe, Germany, France, setting up spaces of dialogue between Ukrainians and Russians. What can this be? From our perspective, it's the equivalent of setting up a platform for dialogue between Germans and Jews during World War II. For us, there's no difference. We really track what's happening on social media, discussions, reactions on the basic level of cultural actors. Most people in Russia massively support the actions of their military forces, or they at least stay neutral to it. The percentage of the people that understand their responsibility for the situation is so tiny that it is almost non-representative. This idea that Putin is responsible for the situation, but Russians are not, has nothing to do with reality. It's not true. This misconception is very dangerous. Secondly, there's this idea of mixing refugee opportunities for Ukrainians together with refugees from Russia and Belarus, which is really quite a strange choice. Don't get me wrong, for this trend, I am generalizing, and what I write regarding refugees from Russia should be taken in its proper context. There are exceptions, and each individual should be perceived in an individual way. What I write is to not feed hate nor xenophobia, but to make people aware of the socio-cultural processes as a consequence of a general trend that on a bigger scale will bring bigger issues. In Russia, the situation safety-wise is not only different since 2014 than it is here in Ukraine. Nobody bombs there. No country attacks Russia. So why do they receive refugee status at all? In Belarus, the situation was crucial even before the last elections, and not much has changed lately. Putting together Ukrainians, Russians, and Belarusians together is very dangerous because it sends a message that there's some sort of trinity of nations, that they have common roots. More Russian propaganda, even more than the core value for Russians bombing Ukraine. It's a sense of trying to bring us back to our common roots, connect us again when we are not. That construct is fake, and it intentionally blurs our differences. So this mixing not only is an insult to each of our nations, but helps Russia hide their cultural appropriation from our history and culture and promotes the narratives that produce confusion in your understanding of the actual situation. The third trend is using victimization of Russians, especially labeling representatives of actual culture, arts, and intellectuals as dissidents or artistic refugees. There's this misconception of separating Russian culture from Russia. Russia, the terroristic state, their actions today are linked with this trend. I will address this briefly. What is problematic with this trend? There is a common misconception that the war in Ukraine started on February 2nd, 2022, when the reality is that it started in February 2014 with the annexation of Crimea and the beginning of the terror in the Donetsk and Luhansk region. Most Russian artists, culture workers, and intellectuals were not only silent about that reality, they supported it by signing letters for the annexation, as well as performing artistic projects in the Crimean territory that had just been annexed. Now many artists are aware that Russia is becoming one huge North Korea. For them, the safest thing would be to escape, saying whatever will save them or give them opportunities. But the core problem of Russia, contemporary art and contemporary culture, is that it is a culture of imitation, which comes organically from the Soviet way of constructing their culture process as nadstroika, structure on top of the existing structure, to the actual ideology of the Communist Party. In this, we went into completely different directions with Russia since the 90s. Information space and cultural field was directly shaped by Russia, but partly it was helped in developing protection mechanisms from simulated fake constructed reality. Not everyone, but at least a significant part of Ukrainians. That's why propaganda and brainwashing in Russia work so well. In Russia, the greatest things in art were happening in the early 90s, but since the beginning of 2000, the situation has changed. Financial resources were distributed through the key players that were only in cooperation with the FSB. I won't be naming names, but the example could be one of Russia's biggest festivals of contemporary dance. Topics were chosen, activities and stakeholders were much in favor if they were in the favor of the state. I know that personally because before 2014, I was working mostly in Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus, and had lots of friends and colleagues there. So I know the situation pretty much from the inside. This imitation and living in double reality is a modus operandi that is, for some, the only way to survive. For people living in such conditions, if you live in constantly changing constructions of reality, you learn how to adapt and to imitate the environment first, because it's the only way to survive. It's not even living double or triple lives, but it's just existing and creating a reality in order to exist. We started a campaign to boycott Russian culture as a way not only to call for justice, but indeed to protect other countries from potential further problems in their countries. As many sanctions will hit Russia, as more people will try to escape Europe, to America for better life, we don't know how to address these situations for more cultural institutions to become involved. At the moment, we are mostly tracking different initiatives and sending our petitions signed by numerous institutions in Ukraine and abroad. But if you can tell me who would be better to address this to, not as a demand, but as an explanation, I would be very grateful for that. Sorry, I apologize for such a long explanation, but I hope that it has brought some light and information to the situation. And thank you for inviting me. I miss Montpellier so much, you can't imagine. I am already looking forward to coming to visit right after this war. Thank you for finding time, for staying connected and helping despite your schedule. Lots of love from Kyiv. Victor.
March 30th. Dear Victor, great to know you've moved back to the center of Kyiv. I can't imagine how stressful the situation is. It's very important what you're saying about the trends. It's something we're not so aware of here in Europe. Recently, I read an article in Libération about cancel Russian culture. This idea is becoming clearer here and more real for us. I will forward your articles to organizations and see how I can spread information on those topics. Oh, did you get to have some of the money on the account? Please let me know so I can push the organizations. I hope war will end quickly, we need peace. You need peace. Let's keep in touch for the video, for the event. Oh, and are you going to send it to Maywen or to Chaillot? Best love, Mathilde.
April 1. Dear Mathilde, true stress is hard to put into words. What I experience in the major part of Kyiv is quite manageable. If you compare it with the suburbs of Kyiv, with Mariupol, Chernihiv, Kharkiv, it's impossible to compare this even to Syria and Aleppo. We get about 50 rockets in one day, plus bombings, compared to in Syria, only 90 rockets were used overall in 5 years. But anyway, I don't complain. Sincerely, we're alive and we keep on. That's already something. Thank you for sharing articles. We have more and more experience that the amount of gaps and gray zones for the rest of Europe about Ukraine is much more of a gap than there are clear parts. It's quite predictable and natural, but this material can help to be more understood by the rest if we're all on the same page with the rest of the world. So thank you for spreading more information. Thank you for all you're doing, for helping to organize these events, for your words. I hope your touring schedule gives you time to recover too. Even here under the artillery cannonade and in between the air alerts, we always remind ourselves about drinking water and rest because we need to be sustainable even in this situation. My body feels that it's really missing some somatic work. So yesterday I gave a free somatic class to some of my colleagues from the National Dovzhenko Center, where my studio is located. I propose to do it to reactive recovery mechanisms of our bodies. We cried a bit, we laughed a bit, and we enjoyed it a lot. So we will do the session again on Sunday. And I feel like next week I will try to go to the subway, which is a bomb shelter, and give some free somatic work to people there, people that are staying there, living there. So far, it's just an idea, but I feel like trying it. I'll be curious how people respond. I hope it will be helpful for them. Those are the news. We hold. Big warm hug and love from Kyiv. Victor.
8th of April. Cher Victor, comment vas-tu? Je sais que tu apparaîtrais en vidéo pour le programme de Chaillot. J'espère que ça va pour toi et que c'est pas trop de pression. Je suis tellement dévastée. I'm so upset by the news we're getting about the Russian army and everything they're doing. I can't imagine how it must be terrible for the population in Ukraine. Sometimes I don't know what to write because our lives, nos vies sont ici tellement normales comparées à ce que vous viviez. Et les nouvelles que nous parviennent semblent si lointaines. The news that comes to us seems so far away, and your life is so, our lives here are so different, so normal compared to what you're going through. But I hope that Kyiv is in a more stable state today. Please, please, please tell me if you've received the money and tell me what you need. Many people here are worried about the situation of all the artists there, and we continue to mobilize. Si tu as besoin que nous parlions avant ou après le programme de Chaillot, if you need us to speak before or after the program, please let me know. I can't be there because I have a performance in Rome, but I'll follow the preparation of the event. Merci à Valérie qui continue à publier tes lettres. Thank you, Valerie, who continues to publish these letters. All I can say is parlons. Let's keep talking. Best love,
The emails of Victor Ruban. And let's take Victor, let's bring you in. Bravo.
Cher Victor, cher Victor.
Victor, thank you so much for sharing those with us and allowing us to shepherd them here and to share them with our audience here in the house and virtually as well. It was so illuminating, so educational, so inspirational to hear your real words and to learn about the actualities of the war and what you're all dealing with and experiencing. So with that, I'm going to hand the reins over to our moderator extraordinaire, Erica Stevens-Abbott. And I'm going to bring up our other panelist, the wonderful Amy Todorov.
Amy Todorov. Amy. It's I don't even know how I'm going to just speak with my usual Canadian accent now, if that's all right. I don't know what to say. As Mathilde said, it's such an unusual event to have people coming from the middle of the night in the Ukraine and Amy and Joseph in New York and me from little old Windsor across the water from Detroit. Alicia, Alina, it's so good that you could be here. We so appreciate it. We hope this goes some way to opening up the minds of people who already feel interested and engaged with what's going on, but we don't know enough. I think that's fair to say, Joseph, Amy. We know that we don't know enough. We know that we want to know more, and we know that we're ready to listen. So the panel really is a chance for us to speak together. And because we like a little structure, and because I'm a professor in real life, or I used to be, not just an actor, we threw out some questions, and Victor and Joseph and I sort of played around with them. Shall I just sort of tell you some of the questions that we thought of, and then we can open things up and different people can speak as they feel, and then I can stop speaking, which would be great. We wanted to ask things like, what's the ethical responsibility of artists and policymakers at all, and especially in a time of crisis? And you are the activists who have a lot to say to this, I know. We also wanted to ask what strategies work, what activist strategies really work. How do you see the role of activism in general in such times?
Erica, we lost your audio.
Am I?
Oh, there you.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, thunderstorms, believe it or not. That's what's happening. The second thing we asked was, what strategies work? And how do you, panelists, see the role of activism in these kinds of challenging times? There were three other questions. One was, what's the most important thing your work addresses now? Or maybe just simply, what do we need to hear from you? What should we be listening to from you? What do you need to tell us? Number four, what are the most dangerous trends in relation to the global crisis you see in your work? And finally, if we have time to get to this, and maybe it's the most important question, what do you need? What needs can be solved with solidarity? What do you need from your fellow citizens, your fellow artists, your global citizens who are akin to you, who are listening, who are here together? Somebody once said we are richer in each other's company. I don't know who said it, but I believe it's true. I also want to mention that, Elena, you said something amazing in an article, that the workers in the sphere of cultures, the mission is not only to save culture from destruction, but to save those who value it. That's, I mean, so we're talking about saving culture, but saving ourselves.
Yes.
So this is the work. So I turn to you. What's the role? What's the ethical role? Now.
If you let me, I would like to turn to the question about what can we say you something unusual or interesting or whatever. It's an awful thing, but human beings can be used to everything. And I think that we checked it on our skin. In the first days, and I want to thank you, Victor, for your letters, and big thanks to Matilda, who was in dialogue with you, because this dialogue it's very it's costs values a lot. In this critical situation, things goes so fast, so we can't get used to them. So they are like flashing, like in the window when you move in the train very fastly, and it's we can hardly reflect them. So now when I listen to these phrases, I come back to some rememberings or memories. Some of them were awful, some of them were very touchy and warmy. But for me, it's really a frightening thing that we got used to many things that happened to us during these 3 months and a half. And every day brings us new threats, new victims, new loss. And we need not only support, but we also need these witnesses of what happens in Ukraine. We need you to have this dialogue, and to have this view from a side. We speak now in Ukraine that the world is getting tired from Ukraine. The world is getting tired from this war. And of course, we understand that many things are happening not only in Ukraine, but in other countries. But the war is a very difficult organism, and we also need this dialogue to not getting used to war, because such things they should not come back. But all the time, the civilized world returns again to the war and tries to solve the problem with the war conflict, but not with art or literature or I don't know, physical practices.
Or conversation.
And if we speak of ethical responsibility, in these crisis situations, people of science, people of intellect, of emotional intelligence, people of culture, they can be like, Victor, help me, ось.
Become an access.
Like
Facilitator access, yeah.
Yes, or it like a star who gives you a shine even in the darkness. So if people around are upset, even in the darkest periods, we need a star to move to it. And it is the responsibility of people of culture who can talk, who can be in dialogue.
Beautifully said.
Elena, to your point, one of the things that Victor and I talked about is it's such human nature, and so much so in the West that we have very short attention spans. We have a very, what we call the news cycle is very rapidly turned over. So it was important for us to get to have our event, because we could have pushed it off. So much is going on, and then suddenly it's no longer the most important thing happening. And it's important for us to keep it in front of people, to keep reminding people, not in an aggressive or angry way, but in a consistent, proactive way, that this is not over, that these atrocities are still occurring, and that there's still a struggle going on in Ukraine.
You know, it really gives a feeling that we live like a joint life. So you gave us, I think, to me and to Victor, you helped us to live these moments again. And I think that even in this tragic time, there were a lot of beautiful moments, and thank you for making them alive again. It's really important what you did.
One thing I would like to acknowledge is, first of all, thank everyone who came tonight, who came to
Indeed.
Victor, and for you. Victor, it's so good to see you looking so healthy, and you're glowing. You look great. And that makes me very happy. I'm so happy to see you again over Zoom and to meet the rest of you. But I've been thinking a lot, and what you're saying, Elena, is really resonating with me about the responsibility of artists in crisis. But I also want to acknowledge the fact that this is not a consensual decision that you have made. You did not
Yeah.
choose to become an artist in crisis. This is a violation that's been forced upon you. I'm sure you have other disciplines that you would love to be exploring right now, other things that you have dedicated your artistic life to. And suddenly there is this new identity thrust upon you, and how difficult that can be, and how painful that can be to grow into this identity that's been forced upon you through no choice of your own. So I just wanted to put that into the room and acknowledge how difficult that is for you to still create work with this new identity.
And what an inspiration it is for us here.
Yeah.
When every time I running as Amy knows, running any kind of arts organization in the lucrative world of small nonprofit theater, where you have unlimited access and funding, you're perpetually complaining about, oh, this is so difficult, this is so difficult, this is so difficult. And I got this wonderful, had this wonderful conversation with Victor, where he said, we're exchanging pleasantries, and I said, so how was he? Oh, I was doing some choreography, and this happened, and then there was the war, and then and it was just part of his experience. And it struck me about how fortunate and lucky we are to be able to create in an environment that we're not going through what you are.
Yeah.
And what we can do is, it's really a responsibility. You talk about ethical responsibility. That's our ethical responsibility, to step up and support our fellow artists and fellow citizens of the world. So
Which is why this is a fundraiser, but it's also a moment to stop, just stop and listen and take stock. Because in New York and in other places, things go very, very quickly. There's so much happening. It's time to stop and think, because La vie d'artiste is very ennobling sometimes, but it's very also self-involved sometimes. Can we agree to that? So it's important to stop and actually realize the cost of what you're doing, which is really enormous. If I may, Alicia, we were talking about ethics and strategies, and what I've read about your work, which is so interesting, is one of the things you do is that you're very, I'm trying to find the right word, persistent. You just collaborate. You never stop. That's what people say about you. Is that sort of true? Would you say that's true?
Feedback. Oops, feedback. No, you know, it's something I'm thinking how to start because yeah, actually these letters also impressed me a lot. And at first I will, as well as Olena, maybe say that, you know, I didn't expect this because like I was staying in Kyiv since as well, since all the war. And I had the same effect that the things, I started to forget them and I didn't have time to realize all this. And at some point I understood I have very strong need try to remember. I didn't understand why I need to remember this because it was very painful experience. And for me personally, the war started as a missile has fallen just near outside. So it's like, you know, for me, it was a completely shock. It was very hard. It was extremely hard, but I understood I want to remember. And when I heard these letters, I remembered this. And you know, this is like, I was reading the chronicles, but it's totally different. It didn't give me this, you know, immersive experience. And like, yeah, I'm really thankful. And I understood like my need to remember it's because I also want to tell. Coming back, this is connected to your question. Unfortunately, all these 3 months, I didn't have possibility to collaborate, to write any music. And now I just trying to, yeah, to understand what I need to do, because yeah, I was volunteering all the time, collecting money, donations, ordering stuff from abroad. And yeah, and this is like now talking about something from different life, like, you know, it's like completely different. But also thanks to these letters and discussion, I understood that I also like, I have this need to tell, I have this need to remember, to maybe construct, and then maybe in some time try to do something, some artistic work on the base of music or music and performance. So I don't know how it will be collaborations or not. But yeah, in general, before I did a lot of many collaborations. No sound.
And you know, now I'm here. I'm not usually muted, as Joseph can tell you. And now, even now, we have links, and we'll be sharing these links to your work at NFR, you know, all the sound recordings. So we don't know when they were done, they're just there. So if we here want to, on this side of the world, want to hear them, there they are. And it will help to inform us of your work and also what's going on. And it does seem to me, it's not that all of you have a lot of sang-froid, that you're all calm in the middle of devastation. I don't think anybody human can be that calm in the middle of terrible things, but you just sort of feel, it seems to me, that every day you just keep going. And that's quite extraordinary. I don't know that everyone could do that. I don't know that all the artists I know would have the ability to just keep forward and do what they need to do every day, to live artistically, but just mentally, physically.
Yeah, can I say, Erica, you pushed me to one thought. You were asking about working strategies. I think that a very strong moment that hold us, it's an opportunity to stay professionals in our sphere. And when we have this opportunity, thanks to our armed forces, because Victor, even in these hard circumstances, he can continue working in the area he's the best. He can work with body practices. He can work with mind. He works on thinking and harmonizing body and thoughts and environment. I can work at our film archive, and I felt the importance of this work. And even my colleagues, they got this opportunity.
And you were showing films in the shelters, right?
We were showing, yes, we were showing them in the metro, and also in Lviv in the shelter, and in abroad in Europe and USA. But we managed to stay professionals, and it's a great period to for professional growth. So that's really helped us much.
It's a kind of discipline and vision, yes, and practical, because as dancers, musicians, actors, dramaturgs, we all have a
And
pretty
now we have,
practical streak.
yes, now we have a great demand in our society now for logistics and for people who can manage different processes. They are really like a gold now, because people do incredible things when they find medicines, find different garments, equipment, packaging materials, and also scientific decisions. So it's a new world is building behind our eyes and with our participation.
That's really interesting. You know, people talk about that outside of war experiences, the importance of the arts and humanities and thinking and decision making and critical analysis and all that. And you're saying it's a direct application in this time of crisis, and it's being valued in Ukraine. That's quite important. Wow. Any other thoughts on any of these notions of ethics, responsibilities, strategies, and challenges, and what people need to know here in North America?
Lisa, do you want to say something? I just don't want to jump onto, because you started to say, and I don't know if you finished your thoughts.
Almost, maybe I didn't explain like very clearly, but yes, I will summarize that I still feel that this is possibility of artists to give experience to the listener or to the audience, possibility to experience something the same, that possibly then to avoid conflicts or crises or the war, some things. So this is like very, I feel it's very important. And yeah, that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that it's a chance for people to share experiences?
I mean,
but
yeah,
also differences?
I was trying to maybe, to these things are very like delicate. It's very hard to explain, but I mean that, yeah, when trying to get information just via the news, it's totally different. Yeah, maybe at some time you also get as well impressed, but then also you get this tiredness of the news and all the things. But this personal moment when the artist lived, like personally experience this, and then propose audience to have this experience. This is something that becomes also your personal experience, and gives you some values, or makes you to think about some important things, or don't close your eyes on some things. So this is, I feel this is completely different than just following the news we have every day.
I can't get over how eloquent you all are in languages that are not the first for you, but the notion of embodying understanding through the arts, as well as, information that comes in, it's a passion to many of us. Can I speak for you, Joseph? And Amy, I don't know you all have to speak for you, but I think that's what this theater company is all about. You put it so well.
Yeah, as a fellow Playhouse creature, Erica, that's the essence of our mission, is sharing life experiences, sharing sharing with one another. Getting back to the the essential of gathering around the fire or the campfire and sharing stories, and particularly stories that are unfamiliar to people, because it's only through, at least I believe, and I think you believe, and I think Amy also believes, that the power of art is transformative in ways that politics, government, other things are not, because it can reach us on an elemental emotional level and change us in ways. People will watch the news and they'll feel sad or they'll feel angry. Forget about it. But you go to a play or a dance concert or a music concert, and it will reach inside you and grab something that's so essential and change you. And you hear stories and you experience stories of people you don't know about. And in that way, they bring you into their world. And when you're aware of that, it's harder to push them away, to ignore them, to marginalize them, to hate them. Because you realize that there's such shared connections between us as human beings.
Amy, you said something, I think, I tried to read everybody's website or something about everyone. You said something about, it's not about savvy. Do you know what I mean? Like savoir, it's not about savvy, it's about passion. Do I get that right?
I know what you're speaking about. My website has a
Yeah.
quote that says, not just savvy.
Not just savvy.
Passion, so you have to have both. And not to retread this territory that everyone has so eloquently covered. And again, I am in awe of the beautiful way that everyone expresses themselves in their second or third language. But you can recite a fact and a figure and you can learn them and then you get distracted. But when you have a story, when you tell a story, it is given to the audience member, and that audience member, it then becomes theirs. And so it becomes their personal responsibility too. So if I hear a story told to me in an artistic way, with passion, and in a way that really reaches inside and changes someone inside, that audience member then carries that around with them, and it's part of their job too, to protect that story. And that is so much more powerful than a fact or a figure. And I love news organizations. I'm a big supporter of a free press. My husband, who's in the audience, works for the free press. But I think the reason why so many cultural sites were targeted early on in this war is because culture and communication is such an important weapon. It has got such a power to it. I think that it can change policy in a much more powerful way than just sending off statistics. And I think that's what you all are doing by sending your stories to us. It was so incredibly powerful to be reminded of that timeline and to have the story told to us again in such a personal way, to remember, oh, right, this happened, and then this happened, and this is how it built, and this is how it affected someone. And I have a family too, and suddenly that is something, your stories are living in me, and I now have that responsibility to pass that on too.
I come from a country that was a colony until, in history, not very long ago. So the culture wars here aren't the same as in America, in the United States, but we still have, you know how invisible and subtle sometimes culture wars can be, and sometimes open and bloody. But always there is an invisible force trying to shape the way people think, you can say. I know, Victor, this is something that's very important to you. You've been talking about the way people's minds are shaped by culture. You speak a lot about that in these emails. So do you have a strong feeling about the ethics of this, yes?
Oh, like you are giving so many different layers at the same time, all together, and it resonates a lot. So I don't know, like from which thread to pull to kind of unfold. Like, oh, this one, oh no, this one. So I'm like a bit like getting lost because of that. First of all, thank you very much about really giving life to those words that we wrote with Mathilde. I'm totally for me it was the first time when I was hearing also so something that I wrote, and it's strange to say, but the same as for Olena and Olesya, and even when I was editing this text from because they were in different lines, so I needed to put them in order to be corresponding to the dates and everything, you know. So even until now, it moves a lot, and it kind of pulls back all the memories, and it really drops me back into the situations. And it's strange to say that it's like 1 month ago, but the speed of the reality is such that it seems that it's like years and years, and like it's so many things at the same time. And yeah, it's very intense. So getting back to those experiences, it's very, very good to feel this connection, and also the distance in a way, in a good sense, like really to process the reality, to come with the ideas, and to move further. To add to this, I will be speaking on Saturday in Tanz Congress in Mainz, and we had a discussion with the moderator of it. She is German. It will be in Germany, and somehow she asked me, like I was explaining one thing, and I realized suddenly in this dialogue, a very precious dialogue, that before 2014, I was never thinking about these bloody prehistories that each of our families is carrying. And in fact, if to ask each of us and many other people in Ukraine, the personal stories of the family will be like really the horror movies could be really just written down because of the deportation or Holodomor, like the hunger, or just extinction. Each family has this, like really literally each family in Ukraine has this. And I suddenly realized that maybe that was a protective mechanism for me to push those memories of my family, because I was aware of them. And not thinking of them before 2014 was something that allows me to move further, for better future, for better life, for better things. And I think that it's maybe a very bad to say, but the situation that we are going through is a reminder for us that if you don't look in your past, and if you don't go with it, and you don't make a dialogue with it, and if you don't carry it, it comes back to you. Like the lessons never learned, they come back to you. And you know this law of 3 things: the bell, the brick, and the balcony. Do you have it in US? It's like each situation, it evolves. Mm-hmm. And the first situation is the bell. It's like a ringing bell. And the next situation hits you like a brick. And the next situation, when it comes back, it will hit you like a balcony.
Okay. Okay. It's not like the jar of cucumbers, but it's important to remember that image.
Yeah.
So was thrown from the balcony.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but not with the balcony.
Not on the.
Yeah. So just like it's that every lesson in our life is coming back in multiplied. in a way. So coming back and revisiting past is very good, so you don't get the balcony, or you even can avoid the brick hitting you.
I'll just say for 1 minute, some of us watching in North America and Canada and the United States have relatives who talk about how they came to this part of the world through Odessa because of anti-Semitism, because of all sorts of things. We're watching, some of us, all of us are watching it, but many of us realize that, and I was not told these stories because we don't talk about that, right? So half remembered words, half remembered stories, half remembered cities. I think you're right. If we don't talk about it, if we don't remember it,
But
here we
Victor,
go.
it's-
I'm old, but I'm not that old. I mean, it's happening again. So I think you're right. I have to say, Victor, I think you have something important to say.
Erica, it's something, and Victor, it's something that we're experiencing right now and have been experiencing in the US. We're having a moment of reckoning with our, or denying of our historical roots.
Oh yeah.
What is our American story? And we have a whole wave of people who don't want it told. Don't talk about it. Didn't happen, not true. And we can never, and consequently, as you're experiencing in Ukraine, these issues keep resurfacing. These horrors, these issues, they just keep happening because we have never dealt with the underlying problem. We've never acknowledged it and had the reckoning.
The reckoning.
Yeah.
And one thing I appreciate about Victor in particular, but all of the artists, is the constant reminders that this war didn't start in February of this year. It didn't spring out of nowhere, that it has been going on for much longer. And that is something I think most Americans had to learn about
Yes.
and are still learning about.
And also what I wanted to say that what we are experiencing now in Ukraine, and that's why I'm also inviting people to come to Ukraine even now in this period of time, is just to say that what we are going through is not something distant for each of you anywhere in the world. And in a way, somehow this process is just a symptom of what's happening in the world in a way. And even this moment of really reminding your past and really making connection with the past is something that you better do wherever you are before it came to your place.
Yep. We're all living with some of this, but you're really living with the day-by-day danger of all of this. So I know we have some more time, but can I just indulge myself in asking the three of you, and I think Amy and Joseph and I would like to hear this. Can you tell me what's the thing that keeps you feeling day in, day out, just to keep going forward? Because that's one thing that, and I don't mean in a sentimental way, I just mean like something is making you feel like, okay, just I'm going to keep going forward. I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. I'm doing what Elena called, you know, my profession where I'm being called to this. What makes you feel, what gives you what inspires you to keep going?
I can say it briefly for myself. Whoa, I'm getting with the echo. That you don't have other planet to go. Wherever you will go, you will have it with you. You know, like we are living in the time when the planet is really getting global and global, more and more global. I mean, like more thick global. But COVID already shows that even little thing, you cannot escape the global processes that are taking over at this moment. So why to waste your time on trying to get somewhere to have better life and then to deal with the same thing, when you can just do it from the place where you are? And also, you know, the best place where you can feel the support is the earth. Like anywhere you are, you just feel the ground. You just
True
walk.
dancer's answer.
Yeah.
Alina?
Sorry. I was thinking It's Victor offers a great optics. It's like very global and from the space even. If we say that we have the one planet and the one life, which we should live, so we should manage these things in this situation. But personally, if speak about me, I have two dreams and one thing which makes wake me up in the morning. If about dreams, I really want that my children will never get back again to this a feeling of nation that does not exist, that it's very small and it doesn't deserve independence or being self-confident. I want my children to be proud that they are Ukrainians, and I want them to know who Ukrainians are. And it's a process that we are working in our private life and professional life. We are learning. We are teaching and we are learning. Another dream, I want the place I work at, I mean, the Dovzhenko Center, to at least to flourish and to reveal all its potential and as a biggest Ukrainian film archive, because this position, it is well understandable around the world, as far as we have a lot of film archives in the world, but this practice, it's quite new for Ukraine. Ukraine knows archives as closed institutions with very limited access, or museums. But film archive, it's something exotic here. And my point to work for it, to realize this idea. And the thing that makes me do things when I have no mood, when I feel tired and desperate, every day, and it's not only me, but we think of those men and women who defend country. They are our relatives. They are our close ones. I pray for them in the evening, and I wake up in the morning thinking, okay, my husband is there with a gun in his hands, and I don't know, was his night calm or not. Mainly they are not these nights, they are not calm, but I hope that he had a bit of good sleep at night. And it inspires me to wake up and do my job and to leave a war that we did not start.
Yeah.
This war is about life and about living. That's it. Sorry for pathos.
No, no, so beautifully said.
Elena, I just wanted to share, so beautifully said. Where we are right now is very close to the site of the Anthology Film Archives, which is very inspirational.
Wow.
But yeah, we're
Yes.
very close to the film archives that Jonas
2
Meek
blocks
has
away.
started.
Great institution.
Yes, so we're sending you some of that feeling and success your way.
Oh, it's this evening it was worth to know about this link and to hear about Anthology Film Archive. Thank you.
You must have intuited. You asked, what do you see?
Yeah, where are you?
Where are you?
I know,
You must have
no.
sensed it was out there nearby.
Alicia?
Yeah. You know, it's also for me, it's also from the advance like this, it became obvious that going somewhere, it doesn't solve the problem. And I guess like all of us has had many invitation to go to any country, like anywhere. Many friends they wrote as well, like many letters inviting, and yeah, people were saying like we can go somewhere, we can do art, you can be happy. And but you know, I understood that evacuating there, it's something like almost as disappearing, because here you have your community, and this community is visible, and it like demonstrates some peculiarities of Ukrainian art, culture, and this is like, but going somewhere, it's like been separated. And for me, it's like it's not so visible as a community, as Ukrainian art. It's like individual, and I really know that, for example, many musicians going to Berlin, they assimilate there, and unfortunately, they become like, you know, Berlin, Ukraine, Berlin, Romania, and everybody associate them as a European musician from Berlin, and nobody cares and nobody feels this aspect, national aspect. And yeah, so it was understandable that we need to solve this problem. It's not what I would love to do, and nobody of us want to deal with these things we meet each day. But yeah, now we have to solve this problem. And being here, you know, it's like, you know what real happens, you know the needs, for example, of your friends who are on front lines, you know the real needs of volunteers who need some help with the logistics, and this is very important when you, yeah, it's you know the real situation. And from some point, I guess everybody who stayed here also experienced that it calms you down when yeah, very quickly. Like I know a lot of my friends who went abroad, they were very anxious and they didn't understand what happens. But when here with the community trial, you get information from the soldiers, from the volunteers, from different activists, and you know what happens. And this is also gives you some power, though it's like each day it's very hard. It's like, you know, you're up and down. But this also, yeah, staying here, it gives some power also, like this moment that you know what happens, you know, yeah, the true things.
So funny that we started with the question, what are the ethics of an artist, a citizen? I think without talking about ethics, and usually when people start talking about ethics, you get rhetoric. You've answered it in the most eloquent and practical terms of what people do every day. I mean, you're living it, it's in it, you're in it. It's the agency, the power of being in it. That's really impressive, I must say. We have some time left, but I really, and I'll turn it over to anybody who wants to say anything in just a minute, but if there's anything that we here need to know, if there's one thing we need to know or do besides, you know, listening and giving some support, tangible support, funds, energy, support, political pressure. Is there anything that you think that we don't know that we should know, or that we don't do that we should do?
Alana, you wanted to say something?
It was a reflection to what Alessa said. Erica had another question, but probably if I will speak, we can move to we can find the answer to your question.
I'm sure.
About staying here and in generally, what are we doing? In this war, I feel that civilians are very linked with soldiers, with the army, and we and especially culture. We give them sense. We form the sense. What are they fighting for?
Mm-hmm.
There was a small documentary about Kiev zoo. Some of the animals they were evacuated from the city, but old animals and big animals, they stayed at the zoo, and the director was speaking about them. And one of his heroes was an old gorilla. it was difficult to take her away because because he's too old, and it could be a stress for him to transfer this animal. But the zoo director says that if we take this animal, it's like a sense. So if we take Harila out of Kiev, the city will lost the sense. And when he invites soldiers to the zoo, invited, just to have a small relax and to communicate with the animals. And he said that these guys and girls, they understand that they are protecting this city and peaceful life. The same thing we think about our museums, our people, our heritage. If we leave our cities, the sense will go away from the cities with us. So maybe it's also a bit of theory, but the society is very linked with a defense. It's not separated things. That's why we are asking about weapon to protect ourselves, because if we have no this protection, we will lose senses.
It's not a
Can I
building that
jump?
makes a city. It's not a building that makes a city.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Victor.
But I will jump onto what Olena said, and just to add that in general, I think I was telling this also during the panel with Amy the last time about the freedom, that we took so many things for granted in this 20th century and 21st century, that it's getting to be like, this is something that took away from us the platform, something that we stand on and we rely on. And why I'm saying it about the defense, weapons and defense is I think that the concept of peace is quite perverted these days. And it's like peace is just like, you know, oh, we are giving up and we stop fighting, which doesn't work. Apparently, for some countries it doesn't work. They need to be slapped into their face or somewhere else to be stopped, and just to get it into senses, as Olena said, to their senses in a way. And that's maybe why we are having this situation when the civilians are really getting it together with the people in defense. And even my concept of military people during this time got transformed. That before, like my father, he's militarian. And even though I had this sense of that military people are the badass guys and everything, you know, or something like that. And now I suddenly, from the situation that is happening in Ukraine, I start to see also another side of the military people, which is defense. Mm-hmm. You know, so there could be the attack, but there is also the defense. And defense is never just the rhetorics or talks and everything. And coming back to the question about the ethics and ethical responsibility, and also what maybe is not evident for you is what I understand perfectly now, that policymakers, artists should stop being abstract, being too abstract.
You said this before. Yeah.
It's just, we have two words in Ukrainian, which is розмірковувати і думати.
Theory and practice?
And, no. Розмірковувати, it means like when you are just assuming and having this thought flow and you are like just jumping into it, and like, and you are just following the flow with the thought and so on and so on. And thinking is when you are really kind of getting into the core of the thought and you're really refining it and really making this work on thought. So what I experienced that in arts, and not only, and especially in politics, it's a lot of rhetorics. It's a lot of discourses, a lot of concepts, a lot of things that are really hard to put into reality and to measure and to really get connected and get it tangible. And what I experience now that for me, many things got clear because of there is a price to it. There is a price to courage. There is a price to dignity. There is a price to taking your, assuming. There is a price to self-determination, you know? And I think if we will have to make to learn from our lessons, one of the lessons will be to understand that this irresponsibility to senses is creating the situation when you have to pay the price to get back to those senses. I don't know if it's makes sense. And like this is the ethical responsibility of policymakers and artists, is to get back to senses with all the means we have, so people don't have to pay the price, even if those senses are not really pleasant, not comfortable, not too seductive.
I agree, but we could talk theory about this and I don't want to. Well, that's what I was saying about a city isn't just structure. It's not about material reality. We're talking about things you can't always see, but it's still real. It's senses, it's there.
But they are sensible.
They are things that you can understand, perceptible, I think we'd say. Sensible in French, perceptible in English. To become more keenly aware. Yeah. That's an ethical responsibility. Who was it? Amy, you probably know this better than I do. In Dreams Begin Responsibility. Was it Delmore Schwartz? It was a poet. And it sounds so romantic. It's not romantic. When you said, Elena, what you dream and wake up, responsibility starts in those thoughts of what we want. Am I following what you're saying a bit, Victor? It's time to sharpen our wits.
Yeah. And there's something Alicia was talking about, which is the concept of direct action. And I think that is something that sometimes artists do need to take that step into direct action, which is what you're doing tonight.
Even more, it's unavoidable.
Some artists say not. I need to say, that's why I celebrate what the three of you are talking about, because some people take the term artist to be a position above action, and art as an isolated experience or as a personal perspective, which of course it is a personal perspective, but there's blood in it. There is consequence to what one does.
And Erica, that's in direct conflict to what we believe as artists or theater makers, that you can't be removed from the society you exist in. You are a part of it, and as a part of it, you have a responsibility to reflect it. And in that sense, there's an ethical responsibility to tell the story truthfully and share things, unpleasant things, to sharpen our perception and to tell the truth. And often, I tell this to my board all the time when I suggest shows, and they say, "Oh, it's not very commercial. When are you going to do a happy show? When are you going to do a show about something upbeat?" And I say, "This is the world we live in. There are upbeat things in every play. There's happiness in every play. There's comedy in every story." Victor's emails, in the depth of the most depressing, frightening moments, he's able
Has cucumbers.
He finds the story that's hysterical. And that's the best kind of art, the art that reflects the human condition in all its positive and negative lights.
I can see people who've been up since 2 a.m. I can see the dawn creeping through your window. I don't want to keep you give a lot for your art, but I don't think you need to give your whole night. If there's anything else that has not been said or it needs to be told to those of us who honor you and feel like it's a privilege to be here with you, can you say it now, please, before we say goodnight and before we listen to your beautiful music, Alicia?
I'm just worried. I'm just worried about the videos from Halina.
Oh,
Because there is a Halina who recorded some, who cannot be with us, but she answered the questions on the video. I don't know, like, what are the technical?
if we can't share them tonight, we will share them in the replay.
Ah, okay.
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 So they
I
will.
don't, I don't know the technical.
They will be in at some point, but if not tonight, but this will be available.
As an archive.
Yes, and people can, because we'll continue to direct people to watch this, the ones that weren't able to watch it live tonight, and in that future version, we'll add those.
Okay, I promised her that to share with her the video. That's why I would be.
And we will share the video with her.
Okay.
Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
Good.
Is there anything that we didn't ask? We need to know. There's so much we want to do. And I think, in the words of Mathilde, whom I haven't met, but I feel like I know a little bit, we feel guilty. We don't know as much as we can do. We need to inform ourselves. We need to help. And Joseph has put a lot of ways we can help, right, Joseph, on the website. So anybody watching today, we want to help our fellow artists, we can do it. But let's, as she said, before I turn this back to Joseph, can I just say what Mathilde said? And she said something important, parlons. Let's keep talking. Yes, there's rhetoric and talking, but there's also action. Let's take action together, but let's keep in contact. To hear what you have gone through, to know what your dreams and thoughts and your daily reality is, your vision, and the notion to me tonight of why would I leave here? I take who I am wherever I go. I want to be here, engaged in it, being in it. You find your professional vigor, what you need to do in the moment there. That's incredibly impressive. So thank you for that. Parlons, let's keep talking. And can I wish you the courage that you have? I wish we could share it. I hope we can share more of it. And we wish you safety and even joy and peace. And peace. Joseph.
I just want to briefly echo Erica's words and thank everyone for participating. Amy here in New York, Alicia, Elena, Victor. Hugs and kisses to you all, and
Helena. Thank you, Helena, for your contribution too.
Thank you so much. And we will be taking us all out with the wonderful music of Alicia that will play out for the next 15 minutes as we exit. But thank you so much. Go to our website. We'll direct people to our website, places where people can donate and support your organizations and your relief funds. This is just the beginning of our conversation. We're partners in this journey together here on, as Victor said, here on this one single earth that we share. Thank you all.
Let's stand together. Thank you.
Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Героям слава!
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll make this way in hand.
Is the music on?
Music
Joseph?
is on.
Yes.
We can all hear your music.